Hey everybody, it's Danielle Damiano, and I'm here with our weekly webinar, and I have Andrew, aka Drew B. Wilson, the meme lord, here with me today. We're going to talk about, yes, I love it. We're going to talk about social media, calling those damn leads, and anything else he wants to share with us. He's awesome. He has really built his business organically, using social media and so many different tools. So thank you for being here. This is going to be an awesome training. So I'm excited.
Thank you for having me, Danielle. It's been a pleasure, over the last couple of years since we met each other, watching you grow and seeing you implement a lot of the same strategies I'm going to talk about today, which has allowed you to continue to grow and achieve all the amazing things you're doing. So I hope whoever's with us and paying attention takes some notes and they implement, because I know that's going to help them if they're watching.
Absolutely. Definitely. Get your pens out, people. Okay, so let's get right to it. What are we talking about? Social media, prospecting?
Yes. So you asked me to bring in a little something in regards to social media, which, when I think about building your brand, calling the damn leads, marketing, sales, networking, there's all of these different, terms and parts of our business that are really, really important. And the one thing that matters to us most is, hey, I only have 24 hours in a day, and I want to make as much money as I possibly can, because that money is a tool, a resource. It's a thing that I use to live the life that I want to live. Some of us have reached that point where it's like, we got money coming in and we're doing good, but we know that we could get a little bit better. Some of us are at a point where if we can't get some things closed here real soon, we might be coming to going and getting a full-time job. Right. And what I'm here to encourage and remind you is that social media is a blessing and a curse. It is something that we can use to completely distract ourselves and get lost from the reality of life. Or if you follow the processes I'm going to share with you today and you're intentional with how you start leveraging these platforms, I believe that you have the opportunity to grow your business, grow your brand, and truly bring your greatness, your light to the community that you serve. Because at the end of the day, you didn't get into this business because you just want to make money. You genuinely like helping people. And that's the beautiful side of social media, is that we're all there for a couple of specific reasons. And Danielle, if you're good with it, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to jump into this presentation because I think that we can really help a lot of people today. So let me do this. All right. It says I'm screen sharing. Do you see my presentation there on the screen? Being freaking tastic. Technology, again, it's a blessing and a curse. So here's what I'm going to go through with you guys. Social media mastery, how busy business owners can generate millions of impressions online for free. And I'm going to repeat this part because there's a lot of ways to spend money on marketing, but these platforms, they exist. They cost you nothing to be a part of. There's millions of people on them. Okay, so this is 100% possible for you if you're willing to do the work and trust the process. So why am I here? What do I want to leave you with? First and foremost, I want you to understand social media, how you can use it as a tool, how to be intentional with it so that you can get a marketing strategy in place to make more sales without having to blow your last dollar on marketing. And I know if you're here, you've probably spent a lot of money on marketing and you're trying to figure out how to get that return on the investment. I want to give you some things that you can do that will cost you time, energy, effort. You can't buy those things back, but I promise if you do what I show you with this, you'll start seeing a pretty improved result from it. Because here's the thing, you have raving fans out there. You have people in your community right now who know you, who like you, who trust you, who you've probably done business with in the last year, 2 years, 5 years, because depending on what the situation is, they may not be buying a home every other year. You might just be working with them on occasion. But here's what I know. You have people out there in your community, both personally and professionally, who know you, who like you, who trust you. And if we can get more people to do that, I'm pretty confident you can close more deals, make more money, live the life that you want to live. Because that's really all I'm here to help you understand, is that if you become the authority, the go-to person for your industry, for your market, you'll have more deals than you know what to do with. So if you guys are good with that, pay attention. We're about to get a little bit fun and nerdy here, because who the heck am I and why am I here? First and foremost, again, Danielle, you introduced me as Andrew. That is technically my government name. That's what's on the mortgage, the deed, all the things. But truth be told, I'm Drewby. That's who I grew up as. You can see on the left-hand side, I'm a husband, father, business owner, best-selling author, podcast host. Those are all the toot my own horn type things that I've done. But the truth is, I'm just a guy who loves working hard, changing lives, mine included. And by proxy, I get to have an amazing life with a beautiful wife, an 8-year-old son. We live in an RV. We traveling around the country. Like, we have built a life by design. And I've done that all through social media. I've written 3 books on sales, marketing, networking, this whole process, but it all came back to it was possible because I put the story on social media. I shared it with the world. Other people saw it and decided, you know what? I kind of know what this guy's got going on. I like him. Maybe I can trust him to help me fix the problem in my life. For some of you, that problem is you're not using social media as a tool. You're using it as an escape. And I'm here to show you that anything is possible when you start living with intention. And social media is one area that we can really maximize if you're open to playing all in. I'm going to assume if you're here today, you're open to playing all in. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So let me get down to this here. Social media is not just for flexing. As fun as it is, we've all seen the gurus, the influencers, the Lambos, the private jets. You know what? I've been that guy. I've hopped on private jets that we chartered to Cabo and all over the place. I've seen, millions of dollars in transactions, made millions of dollars in commissions. Point is, you can make the choice. You can use it to flex and show off and be egotistical, or you can use it to influence and inspire the people who can benefit from your product or your service. And at the end of the day, all of us will agree that we just want to help people. And so, yes, sometimes it's good to go on there and talk about the things that you're doing and the wins that you're having, but you need to do it from the perspective of how am I influencing others to make better decisions in their life, not how am I showing off to all of the people who told me I would never make it, all the haters, blah, 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 because that energy is not going to last, I promise you. So thinking about it from that perspective, if we know we can get in front of a lot of people and we know we have an opportunity, here's what I look at. Your job is primarily networking. It's connecting with other people, having conversations, working together to solve problems, get people the thing that they want. And if we know time is the one thing we can't get more of, we can buy it back, but we can't just make more of it. Thinking about the fact that throughout your day, you meet with a lot of people, but you can only have so many one-on-one conversations. There's only so many hours in the day in which you can go and meet for coffee or go to have a cocktail or do this or do that. I understand that throughout that time, your whole process is trying to connect with people. Because if you, what's the quote? I think it's the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And so that's what we're all on the mission of, like, how can I connect with more people? How can I shake more hands, have conversations, build rapport, and get them to know, like, and trust me? And how can I do it as quick as possible? And here's the beautiful thing. If we know that's the process and we're intentional, here's how we can really start leveraging social media. Every time you go to meet someone, whether it's, at a bar or a coffee shop or a networking event, there's a process that you go through. Typically, when you walk in the door, you're going to start looking at people because we use our eyes first. So the visual of, okay, cool, here's what's going on. Sometimes it may be we walked into a room and we heard someone say something, so we turned to look and see who said the thing or where did that come from? So this is how I look at social media as well. If we know it's visually based and we know there's a few places where they're going to start looking at us on these platforms, the personal profile is number one. It's kind of like our online business card, or in this case, your digital handshake. Because if you walked into a room, you're going to do a couple things. You're going to do a look over of someone. If you're there to meet them, you're going to confirm, hey, is this the person that I recognize from their picture online? Real estate agents, I'm looking at y'all. Don't be using your 80s glamour shots and having something that, you're 27 years older than that original picture. You got 7 different hair colors. I understand. Fashion. You want to look good. That's great. You got an iPhone. Pull the dang thing out and take a portrait picture and get an updated profile photo. No one wants to see something up front and get to their home and get something completely different when they turn the lights on, right? We've all been at the club on a date and we met someone and we're dancing and then they flip the lights on at 2 a.m. and we go, I'm out of here. Same thing happens on social media. If that's how you're approaching the game, you're getting the same result with your prospective clients. So, profile picture, the banner, who are they going to do business with? People want to know who you are and they want to know that you're an authentic, genuine person. They don't need it to be your dog. They don't care about your brokerage logos. They don't care about your cool, thing. And as lovely as your grandkids are, they don't want to do business with your grandkids. They want to do business with you. And this is your profile to leverage to build relationships. And so, sure, you could have a picture of you and your grandbaby in there, but it needs to be focused on you so they know you are the individual they're doing business with. And again, as you're walking into a room in real life, you're going to introduce yourself to the person. What's your name? You ever see that quote? What's your name? I won't go into it because it's not safe for work, but it's a funny meme, and I am the meme lord, so you'll look that one up. And those of you who know, you know. And so, hey, what's your name? Who are you? If you have a moniker, if you have a nickname like myself, I'm Andrew Wilson. That's technically my real name. And for me to have the blue check mark on Facebook to let people know that I am the real person, not some weird crypto scammer investor guy, I have to use what's on my ID. But anyone who knows me knows I'm Donebyone Wilson. That's everything, everywhere. That's my doing business as, as they would say in the government world. But people know me as Donebyone. And so that's what I put out there. I let people know this is my profile. And if I were to walk into a room, I would introduce myself as Donebyone Wilson. Shake hands. And then what's the thing? Hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is where I'm from. This is, the little bit of information, that kind of couple quick touch points that we share with somebody, the elevator pitch. That's in your bio right here in this section, right? Training professionals how to dial in their success and make more money. Check out the book, because part of that is if they have seen a post or something that I shared and they land on this profile and I'm shaking their hand, I want to tell them, well, hey, the next step is if you do like me enough and you want to see what's up, you can go get download a free copy of my book. And those of you who hang out to the end, I'm going to give you a link to go get a free copy as well, because I think this will be very helpful for you. But this is all part of that first 30 to 60 second introduction. I don't know, we're 10 minutes into the call, almost 15 minutes into the call, and I'm still 30 seconds into those initial introductions of what happens in the real world and how it relates online. Because again, if you're making content, you're putting out these posts on social platforms, the goal is that someone sees them and clicks through to your profile and wants to check you out and know more about what you got going on. So that's the whole purpose of this. But the profile, that handshake, that's where it all starts. That's where we're going to make that snap decision. And so sharing this information, it's the same stuff you share every time you shake hands at a networking event. Hi, I'm Danielle. I help people dial in their mortgage company, their real estate business, this, that, whatever. Whatever your thing is, you have the same conversation over and over and over. But what's great about social media is that if you build your profile the right way, every time someone gets to your profile from some other platform or piece of content that you've shared, you're having the same conversation. It's very consistent and it's starting to build authority. And that is what's kind of like, if you've ever watched American Psycho, when they're all putting their business card on the table and it's like bone white, raised lettering, Times New Roman, they're so particular because they understand that snap introduction is so important. It's memorable. And that's what we're looking for, because on social media, if we know there's millions of other people on there and they're going to get distracted by 3,000 ads every 10 seconds, we want to make sure that if they happen by our page, we make an impact. We give them everything that they're there to learn so that they can make a conscious decision whether or not they want to keep moving through the process. And I know that's a lot, guys, but it's so important that you have the foundation built strong, because if you were going to go rep someone on a house and it had a faulty foundation, that's going to be the first thing you tell them. Hey, it might be beautiful from the outside, but inside it's a mess. And it's going to cost you way more than it's worth, because if it's not built on a strong foundation, it's destined to fail. So this is really important, you guys.
And one thing I just point out real quick is that this is a mix. Like if you look at this, you have a mix of your business and personal. And I think that's important to point out, because a lot of times people do want to see a personal side of you as well. So you have, all business, but then in your description, you're telling a little bit about who you are as a person, because people like doing business with people like themselves. So if they can find something, on a personal level, I think that's, also important to point out there.
It's well, and you make a great point. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because this is almost like celebrities or athletes. There are certain athletes that might rep a team for 10 years. And if you're someone who likes that athlete in particular, you're going to wear that brand logo. You're going to rep that team. You're okay, like, being a part of that community. You feel connected to it. But if they went to another team, unless you were like a die-hard Dolphins fan forever, if you're like, hey, I really just like that player, you might team jump. And I'm not hating on you if you're team jumping because you like a certain player, but when Shaq went from the Magic to LA, there was some Magic people that shifted to being LA fans, because really they're truly Shaq fans.
Or
and we're thinking about
Patriots to the Bucks.
That's the more recent one. I'm not a big sports guy, so thank you for that updated reference. I'm a little past due on that one, but yeah, it's exactly it. That's just it. If people love Brady, they'll follow Brady anywhere he goes. And as someone who might be a part of someone else's brokerage or business at this time in the future, Jay-Z said it best. I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. And people want to do business with you. So wherever you may end up in the future, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, because things do change, life does happen, having that personal brand, having this in place is important, because they'll follow you wherever you go. So thank you for sharing that, Danielle. I appreciate that. And here's what's interesting, because if you can get their attention with the business card, you've now become their chief content officer, which is a really scary thing for a lot of people to think about, being responsible for creating content with their already so crazy busy lives. Running deals and running paperwork and calling the damn leads and all the things that we have to do professionally. And then it's like, well, I got to get the kids and I got to go deal with my spouse and I got this thing and that thing, and life and personal things happen. And so how do I have time to create content? Where am I going to go and do social media? Is this another job that I have to have? Can I hire this to somebody? Can I delegate this? Sure, you can. If you want cookie cutter nonsense that every other single lazy person that's hiring this out is doing. Sure, go be like everybody else. See what the results are for everybody else. I know that in the real estate world, 98% of the transactions are done by 2% of the agents at the top, the people who are actually doing the work. And I'm not here to say that you aren't doing the work in particular, because I don't know you that well yet. But I can tell you that the people who are doing the work and are creating this content and trusting this process are getting the results, they're closing the deals, and they're living the life that they want to live. So if that ain't you, pay attention, because I'm trying to share the game with you so that you can be that individual. I know it's in there. I want to simplify this process for you, because at the end of the day, we know you have a certain audience of people in your market, in your territory, whatever that might look like. There's a certain clientele that you want to work with. It may not be super bad credit, low income type people. It might not be houses under a certain dollar amount or in a certain neighborhood. I don't know you or your market, but I do know you have a specific audience of people that you want to work with, because when you work with those kind of individuals, it tends to go better. You get better results. And what I want you to remember is that it doesn't matter what you want. It's about what they want. Old Zig Ziglar said this: what's in it for me radio? What's in it for them? That's all they're tuned into. That's all they care about. As the consumer, what's in it for me? And at the end of the day, they don't necessarily want the mortgage. They don't necessarily want to go through the process of buying the house because it's tedious and annoying and it's... Some people like it, but not very many. Most of them become investors later on. That's a different conversation. But the point is They don't care about any of that. All they care about is, can I get to the thing that I want? Can I get out of this house that's falling apart, that's a piece of crap that the landlord won't fix? And can I get into some place where my kids feel comfortable and they can go to a nice school? That's what they're looking for. That's the conversation they're wanting to have. And so if you know that, and you're thinking about that, and you're thinking about, hey, social media is designed in such a way that people can live vicariously through the stories that I'm telling. And we all love reality television, and you can't tell me you don't, because it is the #1 genre in the world. Weirdly enough, it's not even reality, it's scripted nonsense. But hey, welcome to social media. This is it. You're welcome. But that's the truth. That, like, we all watch reality TV shows, but you know what else we sit through? Advertisements. We'll go on social media and we'll scroll, and every other third post is a sponsored ad, but we really don't mind because we get to go and experience a thing that we want. We get the dopamine hit. We get the serotonin rush of seeing our family post about our grandkids or our nieces and nephews, or, hey, someone we know is celebrating some amazing thing, or, well, this guy's on another trip and this person's closing another deal, and so now I'm getting sad and I'm getting bummed. And, like, there's a lot of ways we can look at this, but for the most part, we show up because we want the thing, the dopamine, the serotonin, whatever we're seeking. And through that, we're okay being sold to. We used to sit through, in a 60-minute block of television, we would watch 12 minutes of TV, 3 minutes of ads. 12 minutes of TV, 3 minutes of ads. And we would do this all day long, and we were okay with it because sometimes the ads were entertaining, sometimes they were fun, sometimes they were memorable, and those ended up being the people that we did business with. Oh, kids, Toys R Us, Jeffrey. Well, kids, all of a sudden they want the Nerf gun, right? Like, this is how it works. And if we know that, we can be intentional about it. We can create content that isn't spammy, that isn't obnoxious, that doesn't feel like that weird person from high school that's trying to get you into their MLM thing. And I'm not judging, because you can make a lot of money in direct sales. It is what it is. But there are those people who we all know that are spammy, obnoxious, and we don't want anything to do with. You don't have to be that person on social media. I promise you. Because I got the secret formula for social media success. I told you I was going to give it to you. Here it is. I learned this from a mentor, 5-6 years ago. I've implemented it. I've had literally, I think, close to 50 million impressions online last check. Over 2.5 million individual people have seen my content in the last 5 years. Like, I'm out there. And it all comes back from just trusting this specific process. And it comes back to this. When I was saying earlier, a lot of you think, how am I going to come up with content? What am I going to talk about? How do I even go through this process? Here's what I know. Every day, you're living your life. You're going to work, you're taking the kids to school, you're grocery shopping, you're hanging out with your spouse, or you're living your life, and you're having these experiences. And as you're having these experiences, a lot of time, if we look back on it, we could reflect and say, well, here's a great lesson that I learned from that experience. I can extract this lesson from it because it's like, hey, here's a deal that went totally sideways after I did this thing, or this thing happened. Mental note. I'm going to remember that because I don't ever want to make that mistake again. So, like, here's a great experience that I'm extracting a lesson from. And what's really cool is that if we know everybody is on social media to be educated or entertained, there's a story to be told, an amazing lesson that we can share with this audience of people whom we want to potentially do business with. And we know they want to be educated or entertained. So you take that experience, you tell the story, and then you just frame it in a way that says, here's something that happened. Most of you who want to go through this process will relate to this story, and I know that because I know what you're working on and going through. And I'm going to tell it in a way that makes you see, hey, I also have experience with that. It's not going to be necessarily selling you on why you need to work with me because I'm the greatest person in the world at fixing that one problem. I'm going to share a story. And on occasion, it might be a story about something that happened at home. Man, I had to get in line at the school dropout line, and the kids were all fighting and arguing and screaming, and it kind of made me feel like sometimes that's the way it is at the office. when you got a bunch of sales professionals all fighting and screaming over leads and trying to deal with this stuff, and it's just a big mess. And man, I tell you, it'd be really nice if everybody could just get along and move in one direction, because when everybody's along and moving in one direction, everybody has a better time. As a broker, as a leader, as someone whose forethought is how do I recruit more individuals to my team, telling that story is a lot better than saying, hey, I don't hire idiots. If you want to work and be a professional, you should come work for me. I'm just saying, for some people that works, but for the majority of the world, telling the real stuff, being authentic, that's going to be a lot more trust building than, again, the default canned stuff that's not really real. And looking at the fact that if we're putting out these pieces of content and we know that on occasion people don't mind being sold to, it's okay to talk about your business. It's okay to talk about something that you did, a win that you had, some experience where a nightmare client ended up being one of your greatest referral opportunities and partners, because even though it was a nightmare to get to close, after close, they called and said, hey, I realized I was a total, B word during this process, but I'm really appreciative and grateful that we got done. And, now that I got that check in the bank and this is all done, I was able to go do the thing. And I'm like, oh, life is better. I have a couple of friends I want to send you. How do I get them in touch with you? That's probably happened, Danielle. That's why you're chuckling like that on the back end.
So funny. I have a guy from 2013 and we're still Facebook friends. And like, he's still, trying to, and it was a nightmare. It was a crazy ride, but yes.
And those are the stories though that people understand and they relate with. And even your prospects sometimes recognize, you know what? I may have been a nightmare client in the past. And, at least this person understands it. She gets it. So like, if I'm going to work with anybody, I'm going to at least call her first and see what she has to say. And that's the beautiful thing about this, is it's all just like going through and trusting the process and knowing that the right people will come through at the right time so that they can have the right conversation and make the right things happen in their life. And if you're ever unsure about, well, what topics do I post about, Drew B, or how do I come up with this? Here's what again, it's a formula. Stay true to form. Talk about your family, your kids, your relationships, the people in your life that matter to you. We all love that stuff. We soak it up. You ever see someone post about their grandkids or some babe, like the celebration is crazy. If we know that, we can lean in on it. I'm not saying to do it in like a weird, sketchy, like selling pictures of your baby's feet on the internet type thing. But I'm just saying, like, we can post pictures and share fun, engaging things. And I will preface this with, whatever you are personally comfortable sharing. You do not have to share or post or talk about anything that you are not comfortable talking about publicly. However, if things are happening in the dark, they will eventually come to light. So it's best to just be a good human all the way around and not have to worry about that. I'm not going to harp anymore, but I'm just saying. You don't have to post about anything you don't want to, but you shouldn't have to worry about anything you're posting.
Right.
Going into your occupation, this is very applicable, because if you're posting about things that are going on within your business or through the process through which you help your clients in your business, it doesn't ever have to be salesy or like spammy. It can always be, hey, here's another case study, here's a testimonial, here's a success story. Hey, here's something that went totally haywire and completely went and fell apart. Because I don't just share the wins, I also share the losses, because sometimes the losses are the most valuable lessons we ever get. And I think that's a side of people that they are a little afraid to share on social media, but I promise you, being vulnerable and explaining that, not only will it help people trust you, but it'll also help a lot of people save a massive amount of money and headache, because they won't make the same mistake having seen you share about it, which again, building authority, getting you to be the go-to person when it comes to this stuff. Recreation. This is one of my favorites, because every single one of you has a hobby outside of your business. I know that sounds weird to say, but all of you have things that you want to do outside of your business that you enjoy doing. And you probably have some friends by proxy that you've met doing those things. Girls at the yoga studio, guys at the gym, out on the mountain biking trail when you're putting your bike up. You meet people in the parking lot. You're constantly meeting these other people who have the same hobbies as you, the same interests. And what I know is that if you talk about them, typically those other people like to talk about them too, because you guys have a similar interest. So they're like, well, you're into antique figurine statues? Do you watch Antiques Roadshow? My wife and I love Antiques Roadshow. Did you see the episode with the guy from The Thing from 1849 that he bought for $1 and it was worth $100,000? You see how this conversation just starts flowing and people love it and they're excited about it? You have hobbies. Other people have that same hobby. Those other people could very likely have a need for your product or service. And if they're in your market or territory, why wouldn't they want to work with you if they happen to know that you're into the same stuff as them? They kind of like you because they've had a couple of conversations in passing, and they see that on occasion you talk about how you're the expert in the thing that you do. They're going to want to work with you. And so many people miss out on this specific lead source in general because they're like, well, I'm a business owner. I can't talk about my hobbies. I can't talk about the things that I'm into. I promise you, even if it's like Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons stuff, there are people that are into it, and it would surprise you who is and who isn't. So talk about it. Motivation, I think this is kind of a no-brainer for anyone who's in sales or entrepreneurship. Our job is to motivate and inspire people, mostly to make different decisions in their life, because a lot of the times the decisions they're making are keeping them stuck. So being someone who's motivating and inspiring, whether it's a prospect or a potential recruit, which in my opinion are essentially the same things, another conversation for another day, but they're just getting to be like, okay, this person's good vibe. I like the energy that they're putting out. I relate to this. Like, this is someone that, again, I would like to know, like, and trust more of. This is all, again, I'm almost an hour into this call now, and they're like, this is the stuff that makes the biggest difference, though, because it's the simple stuff that most people overlook. Now, for motivation, I also like to talk about memes in my meat. I'm kind of inappropriate. I have put pictures of my meat on the internet many, many times. I've told people on the internet that I will put my meat in their mouth, men, women, no shame in my game. It's definitely not HR approved. However, people love meat. People love to smoke meat. Some people even put meat in their mouths, believe it or not. Weird thing. Just saying. But this is the stuff I talk about. These are my hobbies. These are my interests. It's allowed me to make crazy money and help a lot of people by just sharing the things that I am actively excited about, knowing that others are actively excited about it too. All of this is to get to the point where people are saying, okay, I see you, I like you, now what? Reaching out to you to have the conversation about what's next. And this is where the call to damn leads process kind of starts to fit in here, because you got to do the marketing and brand building to get the people to talk to you, but none of that matters if you get people that start reaching out and you don't call them, have this conversation. So I like to share this process, because whether it's on the phone, through social media DMs, text messages, emails, the process is the same no matter where you're having this conversation, but it always goes like this. A, we're going to confirm the reason we're even having this conversation, because it doesn't make any sense for me to work with somebody or have a conversation if I can't actually help you. So, hey, thank you so much. What made you decide to reach out to learn about XYZ? Because 99% of the time, someone's going to message you and be like, hey, I saw your post about this. I have a question about this, that, whatever. Like, if you're putting the content out there, they're going to reach out for a purpose. So, hey, what made you decide to reach out today? And the secret sauce to this, I'm going to share this with your team, Danielle, because I don't give this away for free to everybody, but you're a friend, so I want to share this with people.
Yep.
I always ask them, would you prefer to have the conversation in messages or set up a time to chat on the phone? And I love this nuance, and I think so many people miss out on it, because a lot of professionals would like, hey, let's get on a call, let's get on a call, let's get on a call. I'm a professional. Danielle, you're a professional. How often in the middle of your day can you just stop and get on a 20 to 30 minute phone call?
Yeah, no, not much. And it's so funny you're saying that, because that's exactly what I teach when I teach my classes, is you have to communicate with people how they want to be communicated with. So if someone's always emailing you and you're always calling them back and then they're not responding and they're emailing you back, well, they want to communicate over email. be with text or, so you have to find out exactly how do you want to be communicated with, especially in real estate when you have to be updating people all the time, right? I don't want people to call me all the time, like text me, send me a DM. So 100%.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And that's why I call it the calls process, because it applies wherever, but it's the same. We got to give it a framework so it makes sense. And part of that is, now that we know how they want to be communicated with, we got to ask very specific questions. Like, we shouldn't be having just open-ended conversations for no reason. Everything should be with intention and purpose. So what questions do we need to ask? A lot of times it's pre-qualifying. Cool. All right, what are you looking for? Have you talked to anybody? Are you working with anyone yet? Are you pre-qualified? Do you have X, Y, and Z? I don't know all of your specific questions, but I do know there's 5 to 10 that every time you ask and get the information on those 5 to 10, you end up having a statistically higher close rate on those deals.
100%.
And if you look back over it, you would know, hey man, when I skipped asking that 1 or 2 questions, for whatever reason, I didn't close the deal. But when I ask those questions, it's almost like inevitable the deal closes. Those are the ones every single time, specific and relevant. Because if we're asking those questions, we're going to get the answers by listening. Now I'm going to repeat this again, listening with intent, because they'll tell you all the things you need to know to solve the problem for them. A lot of times they just don't have the knowledge or the skill set to solve the problem. They have all the information. They just don't have the skill set. That's where you come in. That's where your expertise and knowledge is the thing. But you have to listen to what they're saying so that you can lay out that plan for success. Because if they have all the resources and they know all the things, the only thing they don't know is what order and process in which to do that. So if you lay that out and make it easy to understand, all you got to do at that point is secure the bag. All right, Mrs. Johnson, here's what's going to happen. We're going to make sure you're pre-qualified. You're going to get a list of 3 to 5 homes with the details that you know you want based on X, Y, and Z. And then we're going to set a time to go and look at those 3 to 5 homes. And after we've looked at those, we're going to have to make a decision of those, which one makes the most sense to make an offer on. And if not that one, which one are we going to use as a backup? Because inevitably, the market's moving and changing, and this is what's going to happen. So I need to make sure you understand that once we get started, here's how this is going to look. If that sounds good, I'll have you sign this buyer agreement. I don't know what the new rules are, but I'm just making this up, Danielle. So tell me if I'm totally at bad.
You're right on point. I think you should get your real estate license.
It's like, all right, cool. So we're going to have this buyer's agreement, and this is what's going to happen next. Here you go. We got to make sure we use a blue pen, because everything in real estate has to be a blue pen. So is that, like, Danielle, I appreciate it, but like, does that make sense how we just transitioned through this whole process, whether it's on the phone or in a conversation?
Absolutely.
Good.
And I don't like to hear that. Go back to the whole lead thing first, because people are always like, I don't have enough leads, or I don't know. Number one, it takes time to build. It's not something that you're going to just start posting and you're going to have people reaching out to you overnight. But the more you do it consistently every single day, and they want to see a mix of personal and business, because, no one wants all business, shoved at them. They're going to just unfollow you. So yes, this is how you get leads. This is how you follow up with your leads. This is how you get them to work specifically with you.
Bingo, you got it. And here's the next part of this. Oh, I went too far. Did I? Or did I skip this one? Oh, here it is.
I think you skipped that one, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I got excited. So this is my point, though. Like, what if you could add 6 figures in GCI by just posting once a day on social media? It doesn't cost you anything. There's no marketing expense. All it literally is going to take you is 15 minutes a day, maybe 30 when you first get started, because you might not be exactly sure how to do it. And you might make a bunch of excuses and hem-haw around and like go wash the dishes and take the dog out and do all the other things and excuses, the same ones that we use to not call the damn leads. But eventually, if you just do this every single day, it won't take you a lot to generate those extra deals. I mean, I don't know what your average commission is, because again, I'm not in your territory, your market, nor am I a real estate agent. I'm just kind of making a lot of this up as I go, from having worked with thousands of real estate agents over the last 5 years. And so I know it won't take that much to add that much GCI. And what if you could multiply this over time? Because every 2 out of 3 send you a referral. And so now this starts to stack up.
I want to make 2 points. So before, right, back in the day, let's just say before, like, there was so many different social media platforms, you did have to go out and network. You did have to make those cold calls. You did have to do all of this. And I'm not saying that maybe you still want to do that, but this in conjunction with everything else is going to 100% can add, $100,000 to your net income. But the other thing, and I just forgot my point there, but the other thing is that little tip here on something that I do, because if you say, I'm going to post every day, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, half the time you don't do it. And the reason why people are not consistent is not because they don't want to be consistent. It's because they don't have a plan and they don't have a schedule. So what I recommend, and I have a CRM and a coaching program that goes along with it, and we call it Marketing Monday. So Marketing Monday is really setting your entire week up for who are you calling, who are you following up with, who are you DMing, blah, 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 but all of your social media posts. So if you're going to do videos, this, that, the other thing, do them all on Monday and schedule them all out. So that way you don't have to think about it every day. And then little off the cuff things, throughout the week, you can post here and there, but you're intentional on Monday for the week. So you at least have one post a day, and then you can add others.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And I always explain it to people, like, you already have a race car running. Your machine is moving. You're closing deals. You're making a little bit of money. But if we could bolt on a few parts that would make it go faster, be more efficient, and get better fuel mileage, why wouldn't you want to do that? That's a choice. Like, that's a choice you make. If you just want to run, at a certain speed and that's all you ever want to do, like, I can't tell you any different. That's your decision. But if you're at that pace and you want to go faster and you want to be more efficient, I can give you these specific tools, frameworks, references. Like, that's what this is for. But here's the thing I want to remind you guys is that you're going to do this and you're not going to get millions of engagements right away. And you're not going to have tons of people sharing your posts and commenting and engaging. And you're going to be like, screw you, Drewby. You lied to me. You said I was going to get millions of impressions and it wasn't going to cost me anything. You're right. I did say those things, and I'm right about them, but it's not going to be immediate because 1 in 1 bajillion people go viral with the first piece of content that they put out there. It's very rare or unlikely that any of you are going to be the Haktua girl. Like, just being very transparent. It could happen, but it probably won't. Most of you are going to be just like I was, just like Danielle, and you're going to go and you're going to create content, and you're going to pour your heart out, and you're going to tell a lot of stories, and you're going to feel like, man, I'm making an effort, but it doesn't feel like anybody cares. And it doesn't seem like anybody's paying attention. I promise you they are, but a lot of times they're not engaging, they're not commenting, they're not replying, because the things that you're saying are touching them in a very deep, emotional, spot, and not everybody's willing to bring that out just yet. But that's why you'll see them on the more upbeat, exciting, family, recreational. They'll engage, they'll comment on that. But the stuff where you're a little more serious, where you're a little more businessy, they don't always engage, but they see it. Exactly. That's the little seeds that you're planting. Because if you were to come out and go viral, and I that's why this slide exists. If I brought you 100 clients with signed paperwork ready to go, 99% of you would completely fail and fall on your face. And I don't say that to be mean or hurtful or anything like that. I know because it's the God's honest truth. 1 out of 100 of you would figure out how to sell all 100 of those damn houses. But the majority of you would not. You would fail, you'd get a bunch of negative reviews, and then all of a sudden you'd have a whole new demon to be fighting with because you did all these things, but you didn't have the systems and processes in place to fulfill at the level that is necessary. So don't feel like you need 1 million people to come and see you right away. You need a couple. If you added 1 extra closing a month this year, what would it do to your bottom line? The majority of you ain't even closing 1 a month now. I shouldn't say that. You're working with Danielle, so you should be. But I know that, again, the stat is 98% of transactions are done by 2% of the agents nationwide. You're among that elite 1%. That's why you're a part of this program. But understand, you're still maybe not at that level where you could take 100 people right now. So don't feel like that's what it has to be successful. Add a couple and then stack it up and then stack it up and then stack some over to your team, because you don't want to do all the work by yourself forever. So teaching and learning this process so that you can take it to the next step, it's ultimately why you're here, because you're a leader and you want to learn things in a way so that you can implement it and take the results to your team so that they can learn and implement and grow. So if you enjoyed this, you got any sort of value out of it, you thought, man, this guy's a little bit crazy, but I kind of like him. I got this QR code, scan it, download my book, check out the content, come and follow me on social media. I'm sure Danielle will put all my stuff in there because she's a gem of a human being. But like, all I know is if you will trust the process, it will work. The results, TBD. I can't guarantee anything on that. But if you trust this process, myself, Danielle, countless other people in this community and program who have followed her trusted process and implemented it, they're seeing the results. So if you want to see results, trust the process.
Yes. Yes, and this also works in conjunction with everything that you're, out there doing. And if you're out there doing a lot of things, eventually this can replace a lot of things that you're already out there doing. And the great thing about this is that you can systematize and automate it. So, that's another, great thing that you can do. And one thing I do want to point out, because this happened to me and it's so crazy, because when you mentioned going viral, I'm not viral, but like I have one post that's gotten like almost 3,000 comments and all this stuff.
That's viral to me.
It's about the fact that my Facebook page got banned. My account got banned, and I did a TikTok about it. And like everyone's commenting, and this was, in 2022, and I talked about, and this is a reminder for everybody, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Because if you're building everything on Facebook and God forbid something happens and they take down your Facebook page, now you just lost everything that you've been working for. So I did this TikTok video about that specifically. And it was funny because it was in 2022 and I was like, I have almost 3,000 followers. Now I have, over 6,000. So in just 2 years, I'm already doubling my followers, right? But you want to make sure that you're picking a couple of platforms and you're putting your content across the board and then see what platforms are bringing the most. I'm not on Instagram. I don't even know what I post on Instagram. My virtual assistant posts it. People will say, oh, I love your post on Instagram. I'm like, I don't even know what it's about. I have no idea. So that was my VA or some automated thing through my CRM. But
so I agree with you. I'm going to share the secret to this because this is where I feel like some people do get a little overwhelmed with it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not even on one. How am I going to do multiple? Here's the secret. Pick one, make that your primary.
Yeah.
And every time you make a post, save it in a Google Doc or an Evernote or wherever you keep your information. And you can save the content from the post, the picture that you share with it, the video, all of the creative stuff that goes along with it. You can have an actual link to that direct post because some of you don't know that Facebook, all of these platforms are just like search platforms. So anything that you put out there, you can direct link right back to and go right to that post again. And so what I've done in the past is had a VA at the end of every month. Now she does it daily, but like at one point every month, I would pay a couple $100 and they'd go and scrape my profile, save all of the content that I posted, and then organize it for me so that I could go and use it on those other platforms. Because here's the beautiful thing. If I'm going to do the work once and make one beautiful piece of art, Danielle, why would I not let it rotate between other museums? All I got to do is just put it up on the wall there. And, maybe it's the original, maybe it's a print. But even a print can be beautiful. And unless you know, you don't know. So you see it, you think it's new, it's fresh, and you're like, that's amazing. Same thing applies with content creation. Make it once, save it, and then repurpose it on these other platforms. You might have to make slight adjustments based on the platform and the type of content that platform leverages, but you've already made it once, reuse it, recycle it, and know that now you're getting a multiplier out of this effort, not just a one and done.
Well, and I like how you say saving it because a lot of times I'll be like, oh, there's so much content that I had, a year from now that I can repurpose. If you are on my Donebyone CRM, then you already know what I do is all of my social media accounts are hooked up, all my Facebook pages, my LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Google My Business, everything. So I can just do one post in the Donebyone CRM, and then it goes to every single platform. Obviously, if it's not a video, it will go to TikTok and things like that. And you can actually like, because it's kind of different how it is organized for each thing, you can change it all up, but it will be just one post, and I can schedule it for the entire year if I really wanted to. I could schedule a post every day, one a day for a month, for a year, whatever. So anyways, I want to say that Drewby is awesome. If you guys have a team, if you have a company that you think he would be good to speak at, maybe a weekly meeting on Zoom, he can come in, or maybe he's traveling around the country in your neck of the woods. You never know. He's going to pop out. But yes, he's awesome. So please, everything is in the membership site on the back end, so they can watch this and rewatch it. I suggest you go back to his social media and look and see exactly how he organized his Facebook page. You can hire virtual assistants to help you if you have an idea. What I always recommend to people is go online and look up a bunch of people that you like and say, okay, I kind of like these colors. I do like the way this one looks, and hire a virtual assistant and send them all the social media profiles. I'm in the middle of changing mine up right now, and say, this is what I like. These are the pictures I want you to use. This is what I just had ChatGPT create a tagline for me yesterday for my social media. So, just send it to the VA and have them do a couple of different things for you. Be consistent. That's my big thing right now. I have a YouTube banner, and then another YouTube banner, and then a Facebook, and then I want everything to look the same. And then I'm putting my QR code on there, which is a bit.ly link with all of my different, you can buy the book, join my Facebook, So that QR code is now going to be on my banner also. So anyways, tons of great tips. All of Drewby's information is going to be there. And will you send me your, I don't think, your headshot, bio, and
Our press kit, all my media goods. Yeah, it's so fancy. Like I feel such, correct. Yes, 100%. And then again, I'll tell everyone, I thank you for the time. Thank you for hanging out with me. I sell stuff. So if you want someone to get on and do a deep dive and go through your profiles and give you some insight, that is something that's available. I do offer that as a service, not that I'm trying to sell people. I told Danielle, hey, I'm here to help. I know that with what I've given you here for free, you will go and make lots and lots of money, make a major impact in your community, in your life, in your business. If you want to speed up the process and you want someone to guide you, come and find me. I'd be happy to help.
Yes, go and find him. He's awesome. He could definitely help you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Danielle.